As you all know, since we are all electrical engineers, every consumer he consumes the electricity and he pays the electricity residuals. This electricity bill is based on the tariffs which are set by DISCOM in association with state electricity regulatory company. The tariffs are all set by the DISCOMs in association with. Can somebody mute your voices, guys? Are you able to listen to me properly?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So whatever the electricity which we consume, we will be paying for that based upon the tariffs which are being set by the DISCOMs, which file the taxes, which file the tariffs with the SCRC, State Electricity Regulatory Commission, which finalizes the tariffs for so and so financial year. So these tariffs are based upon where do these DISCOMs get their electricity? They are not going to generate electricity. So they will get electricity from GENCOs. So based upon the cost of electricity provided by GENCOs. So GENCO, they will first of all offer the cost. They will mention here that 1 unit, 2 rupees, 2.40. Let us first. This is the GENCO price. 1 unit, 2.4. Now, this agreement will be made between GENCO and DISCOM. So GENCO is going to deliver the power at the cost of rupees 40, which will be claimed by the DISCOM. So for transmitting the power from GENCO to DISCOM, what you do need TRANSCO. So TRANSCO will be offering the support to transfer the electricity from GENCO to DISCOM. So they will charge some amount for offering transmission service. So totally DISCOM has got it at 2.80. This because of the GENCO, this is because of the transfer. Now 2.80 plus some maintenance charges plus taxes, etc., it will lead to some rupees 3 rupees or rupees 4 rupees. This is a practical example. So once you fix up at 3 rupees or 4 rupees, they will inform to SCRC, which will approve it. Like this, tariffs are fixed. This is a simple cycle where electricity tariffs are being fixed up, and on the basis which we will be paying our electricity charges. Now, if you carefully see of the entire tariffs, which one is going to play a crucial role? This one. Unit 2.40. 1 unit positive 0, rupees 2.4. So the prime component of your tariffs comes from the cost of electricity which is offered by GENCO. So if GENCO is offering at 2.4, now let's look back to this one. 2.4. Out of this 2.40, roughly 80% will be from fuel cost. And remaining 20 to 30% will be from this is a rough estimate. Now you people can claim, sir, why so much amount of fuel cost? Why? Because traditionally GENCO have been involved in thermal power. Generation will be done from thermal, hydel, and solar. Nowadays, wind has also come into picture, but in our state, we don't have wind plants. We primarily have solar plants, but still, since it is at a baby stage, we primarily rely upon thermal plants. Hydel plants, there is no cost of any fuel. Solar plants, there is no cost of any fuel because they have zero fuel cost. And primarily, since we are majorly dependent upon thermal plants, you might know there are nearly 12 to 13 thermal plants which are operating in our state, which primarily give us somewhere around 50 to 70% of our consumption. It is primarily coming from the GENCO thermal plants. So, out of this 50 to 70%, in that 50 to 70%, 70 to 80% is coming from the fuel cost. So, if you want to reduce the tariff, what you are supposed to do? You are supposed to reduce the fuel. Now the question arises again, sir, how to reduce the fuel cost? If we are capable of reducing the fuel cost, then we can reduce the tariffs. Now the question is how to reduce the fuel cost? We can't go with the low grade fuel. So then how to reduce the fuel cost? Now, in the latest markets, let us suppose there are 4 generators. Let us suppose there are 4 generators. Now there are suppose 4 generators which are available for me, which can generate electricity. Each one can generate, let us suppose 100 megawatt. Each one can generate up to 100 megawatt. And J1 is capable of generating units at the cost of rupees 125. This one rupees 14. This is rupees 1.35. This is rupees 1.5. Now, as a common man, let us suppose if I want to go with 50 megawatts of power. So which generator I have to employ now? Which generator I am supposed to employ? Yes. I will automatically go with G1 because it is capable of providing electricity at a cost of rupees 125. So I will give the order to G1. Let G1 alone generate 50 megawatts. Now let us suppose if I do have 150 megawatts requirement. If I do have 150 megawatts of requirement. If I do have 150 megawatts of requirement, then automatically I will provide 100 to this one because there is a cap here. 100 megawatts cap is there. So I will go with 100 megawatts here. And next I will choose among the remaining for generating 50 megawatts. So I will go with this one. So 100 here and 50 here. Let us suppose if I do have somewhere around 300 megawatts. So first 100 to this one, next 100 to this one, next 100 to this one, like this. I am supposed to go with a strategy of reducing the fuel cost. If I reduce the fuel cost, then automatically I can reduce the cost of generation. But there are constraints in our power system. There are limitations. There are limitations in our power system on each and every part, every component of power. The generators have their constraints. They have to be loaded minimally and maximum. Transformers also they have constraints. Transmission lines have constraints. Minimum capacity, maximum capacity, rated current, power factor. Each and everything there is a constraint. So you are supposed to optimize your problem based upon the constraints which you do have. I hope you have understood. Our job as an electrical engineer is, what is our aim? To minimize cost of generation subjected to constraints. This is the basic target of an electrical engineer. Because we take an oath when we join any government service, any electrical utility, we take an oath. The moment you have entered into the electrical department, you might have been in an oath ceremony where we will be taking an oath that our job, our aim is to provide a reliable and affordable electricity. What do you mean by affordable electricity? It means that the cost of electricity must be low. Affordable అంటే అందరికి అందాలి. అందరికి అందాలి అంటే the cost must be low. So you are supposed how to offer low cost of electricity? How? If we minimize the cost of generation, then we can offer electricity at a lower cost. So how to minimize the cost of generation? Reduce the fuel consumption. So in this unit number 2, we work on our aim is minimization of cost of generation subjected to technical constraints in the power system. Now, this is unit number 2, and this is going to be objective of unit 2. Objective of unit number 2, economic operation of power system. To minimize the cost of generation. To minimize the cost of generation subjected to constraints in the power system. Now, this particular concept is called as economic load dispatch problem, commonly referred as ELD. Economic load dispatch problem, commonly referred as ELD in our textbooks. First unit referred LF problem, load flow problems, where we were trying to optimize, where we were trying to determine the power flows in the system. Now, second unit is completely different. It is about minimizing the cost of generation, and this term is economic load. Now, have you understood? Shall I erase this one? Okay. Is my voice clearly audible for you guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm getting some disturbance from some of you. If possible, try to mute your voices. Today's topic is introduction to unit number 2, which handles with economic load dispatch. Economic load dispatch. So first of all, let me write the aim of this unit number 2 or objective of unit number 2. Our target is to minimize the total cost of generation to minimize the total cost of generation of real power, to minimize the total cost of generation of real power. Next, various generating units and stations at various generating units and stations. In our target is to minimize the cost of generation of real power at various generating units in the power system while satisfying the loads and losses in the transmission line or system. You are supposed to consider the loads because your demand is to be met. Because in the country, these are the two important things for electrical engineering. Reliable and affordable. Even though we are concentrating at providing affordable electricity, we must also not forget reliable electricity, which means that you are supposed to meet your demand at any cost. Demand lo teda raadu. Sorry, demand meeting lo teda raadu. So demand must be met at affordable price. So that's why I have written the constraint while satisfying the loads. When there are loads, automatically there will be losses in the transmission system. So loads and losses should be met. After that, our concern is about minimizing the total cost of generation. So this is going to be our aim for unit number 2. So what are the advantages of doing all this? See, this is a very big complex problem. Why this is a very big complex problem? Why? Because there are so many constraints in the power system. I'll write a list of constraints in the power. You being an electrical engineer, you have studied so far so many subjects. You might have studied so far so many subjects in electrical engineering. And with all of your knowledge, You can say that there are so many constraints in the power system. There might be equality constraints, there might be inequality constraints. So many constraints will be there. Can anybody list at least few constraints? We'll go with the equality constraints. First of all, what are the equality constraints, beta? The powers are equal to sigma j is equal to 1 to n, vi conjugate vj y. Isn't it? This is the first equality constraint, which indicates the power injected at any transmission line. The second equality constraint is sigma PGI. This is another equality constraint where we commonly use. Your generation must be equal to your demand and losses. This is the common constraint. Whatever you do, however you want to minimize the cost of generation, you minimize. But the generation must be equal to demand plus losses. This is the fundamental constraint in the power. Apart from that, there are so many inequality constraints. What are the inequality constraints? Your PGI will be having minimum and maximum values. Similarly, your reactive power also will be having a minimum and maximum values. Similarly, your voltage magnitude, it will be having minimum and maximum values, because the customer is not going to be satisfied if you reduce these values or if you go on increasing these values. Active power generation, we do have limits on the generator. Reactive power generation, we do have limits. And there is one more limit also. Whatever the PGI and QGI, this is called the total loading of the system. It must be less than, there will be limit on the total loading of the system also, total loading of the generator also. And even, this is on the generator side, this is on the transmission side. This is transmission line, this is generator, and on transformers also you will be having there are tappings. There is a limitation on tappings of the transformer. If the auto transformer is there, you will be having 0 to 1 tapping. If it is a normal 2-winding transformer, you will be having 0 to T to N. So this is one of the constraints. Apart from generation, transmission, transformer, and there are reserve capacity constraints also. You know what do you mean by reserve capacity? What do you mean by reserve capacity, guys? How it is being determined? Reserve capacity idea on that? PS1 is you being an electrical engineer, if you do have the load curve and load duration curve, how will you determine the reserve capacity, spare capacity at any power plant? Reserve capacity ఎక్కువ ఉంటే ఏమవుతుందా? యూటిలైజేషన్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ తగ్గిపోతుంది. అలాగే తక్కువ ఉందనుకున్నా పీక్ డిమాండ్ మీట్ అవ్వకపోవచ్చు. సో రిజర్వ్ కెపాసిటీ ఇట్ ఈస్ హావింగ్ ఇట్స్ ఓన్ కన్స్ట్రెయింట్స్. Apart from that, there will be network constraints also. You can't keep up too many number of lines in the system, which will make you look the power system very complex. So these are the different constraints which you do have. Subjected to all these constraints, you are supposed to, you do have a very simple definition, right? Reduce the total cost of generation. But it is to be subjected to all these constraints. That's why your problem is a complex engineering problem. మీరు బీటెక్ ఫస్ట్ ఇయర్ లో వచ్చినప్పుడు మీకు చేపించండి ఏమని చెప్పారా PO1 to PO12 అయ్యా ఉన్నారా ప్రోగ్రామ్ అవుట్కమ్స్ అని ప్రతి బోర్డు మీద రాస్తా ఉంటారు ల్యాబ్స్ లో కానీ క్లాస్ రూమ్స్ లో కానీ PO1 to 5. An engineering graduate is supposed to acquire the skills up to PO12, program outcomes 12. he clearly attains all these things, then he is a true engineer. First of all, about the technical. It is not that if you know the Ohm's law, you become an engineer. If you attain these 5 things, then you will become an engineer. And in all these 5 things, what is common? An engineer must be capable of understanding complex engineering problem and trying to provide solutions. And this is your complex engineering problem. Complex engineering problems, they look very, very simple. Very simple. Total cost of generation. It is only one thing. But behind that, there will be so many constraints. These are the constraints. As an engineer, you are supposed to provide solution for this one. If you provide solution for these things, for these type of complex problems, then you will acquire this 5 technical. Then you are supposed to have these 5 technical things. You want to keep up. So having said that, now ఇన్ని కన్స్ట్రెంట్స్ ఉన్నప్పుడు చాలా అంటే చాలా పెద్ద ప్రాబ్లం అవునా? ఎందుకంటే ఒక పవర్ సిస్టంలో నాదైతే డిస్ట్రిబ్యూటెడ్ ఎనర్జీ సిస్టంలో నా డిస్ట్రిబ్యూటెడ్ ఎనర్జీ సిస్టమ్ అయితే ఏదో ఒకటే జనరేటర్ ఉంటుంది, ఒకటే ట్రాన్స్మిషన్ లైన్ ఉంటుంది, ఓన్లీ వరంగల్ 90 మాత్రమే ఉంటుంది. Our power system is a very vast system. We will consider this concept of Telangana. Telangana power scenario. We will consider this a small concept of Telangana power scenario. We don't consider this South India or North India or complete India. We will consider only this small concept of Telangana power scenario. In Telangana power scenario, loads are distributed. Loads are distributed across all the places of Telangana. Generating units, we do have thermal, we do have idle, we do have solar. Okay, we don't consider this idle and solar. We will be considering only this thermal. Assume that. So loads load a total load of 70% thermal plants provide this for my cavity. Your concept is about minimizing this thermal cost. Thermal cost for generating plant 1 month, generating plant 30 వరకు నా ఒక్కో generating plant లో మళ్ళీ there will be number of units. And you are supposed to optimize your cost of generation. ఏంటంటే ఓవరాల్ గా కాస్ట్ మినిమైజ్ చేయడానికి కోసం ఒక్కో జనరేటర్ ఎంత జనరేట్ చేయాలి, లేకపోతే అసలు జనరేట్ చేయకుండా ఉండాలి. So you are supposed to provide schedule for every 15 minutes. First 15 minutes, 150 megawatts is a load. So plant 1 lo up to n units, plant 2 lo up to n units, plant 3 lo up to n units. Next 15 minutes. This is the schedule for all the plants. Next 15 minutes. Atla 24 hours, 365 days, you are supposed to provide solution for this. So now, will you agree that this is going to be a complex problem, subjected to all these things? చూడటానికి ఏమో చిన్న లైన్ లాగా ఉంది, టోటల్ కాస్ట్ ఆఫ్ జనరేషన్ ఆఫ్ రియల్ పవర్. బట్ దాని వెనకాల చూస్తే ఇంత పెద్ద ప్రాబ్లం. This is your problem. You are supposed to provide every 15 minutes load of every 15 minute information about generation at each and every unit for each and every unit. Got it, guys? Now, this subjected to this demand will be varying, isn't it? For every 15 minutes, we will be taking it as a lump sum. Because ఎందుకంటే ప్రతి మినిట్ కి వేరీ అయ్యేదంటే మనం క్యాలిక్యులేషన్ చేయడం చాలా కష్టం. సో అందుకని స్కాడాలో ఏం చేస్తున్నాం అంటే ఎవ్రీ 15 minutes స్లాట్ తీసుకుంటాం. 15 minutes స్లాట్ కి డిమాండ్ ఇంతే ఉంటుంది అనుకొని మనం చేసుకుంటూ వెళ్ళిపోతాం. Do remember this, guys? As an electrical engineer, మనం 15 minutes cycle ని ఫాలో అవుతాం. We don't assume that every minute load will be varying and we are supposed to calculate the load flows and economic operation like that. We'll take it as 15 minutes as a time slot. So per day ki 96 slots ఉంటాయి. Slot 1 to slot 90. Slot 1 indicates early morning 12 to 12:15. Slot 96 indicates 11:45 to 12 o'clock midnight. Like that, there will be 96 slots. So 96 slots ప్రకారంగానే ఎలక్ట్రికల్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ మనం పనిచేస్తాం. So I hope you have understood the concept of economic load dispatch and why it is a very big commercial problem. A true electrical engineer, he is into SCADA. System లో పనిచేస్తే ఇది అవసరం లేదు. ఇదంతా ఎవరికి రిక్వైర్మెంట్ లేదంతా generation వాళ్ళకి రిక్వైర్మెంట్. So the people who are there in the generation, they will be concentrating on these things. What are the now? Having said this thing, can anybody say what are the advantages of so what will be the outcome of economic load dispatch better? ఏమొస్తుందో ఎకనామిక్ లోడ్ డిస్పాచ్ ప్రాబ్లం మొత్తం సాల్వ్ చేస్తే ఏమొస్తున్నాను పవర్ జనరేషన్ ఎట్ ఈచ్ యూనిట్స్ ఫర్ గివెన్ లోడ్. ఒక స్లాట్ లో ఇంత లోడ్ ఉంది ఓవరాల్ గా స్టేట్ మీద అంటే ఈచ్ యూనిట్ ఎంత జనరేట్ చేయాలనే ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ వస్తుంది. దట్ ఈస్ ద అవుట్కమ్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ ఎకనామిక్ లోడ్ డిస్పాచ్, isn't it? And what is the biggest advantage which we are getting after doing this economic load dispatch? We are reducing fuel consumption and thermal plants. Apart only fuel consumption అనేవాళ్ళు ఇప్పుడు స్టైల్ గా ఏమంటున్నాం reducing carbon footprint. This is the advantage which we will be getting for doing this entire complex problem. We will be able to reduce the carbon footprints. How many of you have understood what I have said so far? What do you mean by economic load dispatch, and what is our targets, and why it is a very complex engineering problem, and what is the outcome of economic load dispatch, and what are the advantages of performing this entire complex problem? Will you raise your hands? One. Those who have understood. 2, 3, 4. Only 4. Now, this entire concept of economic load dispatch is further divided into 2 parts. It is further divided into 2 parts, economic scheduling and unit commitment. So what is economic scheduling and what is unit commitments? Both are referred as 2 different terms. And sometimes in some textbooks, this economic scheduling is written as economic dispatch. Literally speaking, both are same. But both are 2 different terms which are extensively used in the problem of economic load dispatch. So what are these 2 things? The first one, economic dispatch. It is about allocating PG at each unit. This is what we have done so far. This is what I have explained to you. So you are supposed to determine the generation level at each and every unit. So once you determine what is the generation at each and every unit for different demand, subject to all these constraints, this problem will be done. Economic scheduling dispatch. So you have given instructions to each and every plant, and in that plant there will be different stages. KTPS calendar kada, KTPS lo meer chuste eno ఉంటాయి 7 stages or 8 stages ఉంటాయి 6 stages ఉంటాయి అంటే 6 boilers ఉంటాయి అంటే దానికి 6 generators connect చేసి ఉంటాయి అంటే ఒక KTPS లోనే 6 to 7 generators ఉంటాయి. సో ఈచ్ ప్లాంట్ కి అందులో మళ్ళీ ఈచ్ యూనిట్స్ కి ఎంత జనరేషన్ చేయాలి అనేది ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఇస్తాం. సో దిస్ ఇస్ up to your economic scheduling dispatch. So you are giving information to the plants that they are supposed to generate this much amount of power at this instant of time. రేపటిది ఈ రోజు షెడ్యూల్ వేసి ఇస్తాం with the help of neural networks and forecasting. Once you do that, now it's the job of the player who is there at Genco to commit your units. The name itself indicates it is about committing of units. What do you mean by committing of units? But నేను ఇక్కడ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఇచ్చేస్తాను ఏమని రాహుల్ ఈ ప్లాంట్ ఎంత జనరేట్ చేయాలి రేపు మార్నింగ్ అవర్స్ లో స్లాట్ 1 లో ఎంత జనరేట్ చేయాలి స్లాట్ 2 లో ఎంత జనరేట్ చేయాలని నేను ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఇచ్చేస్తాను. Once I give pass on information to the plants, now it's the duty of the employees of that particular plant to make the units generate that much amount of power. అంటే అంత దానికి కమిట్ అవ్వాలి. సో వాళ్ళ దగ్గర 6 యూనిట్స్ ఉన్నాయి అనుకున్నాం 6 యూనిట్స్ ఇన్ టైమ్ లో అంత పవర్ జనరేట్ చేయాలి. సో ఇట్స్ ద డ్యూటీ ఆఫ్ దట్ పర్టికులర్ Genco పవర్ ప్లాంట్ టు allocate the power to each and every unit and let it generate the required active power. మనం ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్ ఇవ్వడం ఒక ఎత్తు ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్ వాళ్ళు తీసుకున్న తర్వాత వాళ్ళ దగ్గర ఉన్న యూనిట్స్ ని వాళ్ళు రన్ చేయడం ఇంకో ఎత్తు. The first part is called as economic scheduling dispatch. Second part is called as unit commitment. So our unit number 2 deals with economic dispatch, where we will be confining ourselves only to allocating the power or finalizing the schedule among the plants. The second part, which is the unit commitment, even though it is not there in your syllabus, I will introduce you to the concept of unit commitment at the end of the unit. I hope you have understood what I have said. Any queries? So with this, I am stopping this